Okay, welcome to the last chapter in this presentation. By now, if you've sat through the last few chapters, you should have, hopefully, gotten a basic level understanding of the concept of money, why we have it, uh, why is a decentralized system interesting, what is a decentralized system, right? System without a central authority, how blockchain works, and what are the things that make it secure, and you learned a little bit about digital wallets and talked about how actually Bitcoin moves from one address to another. All right, so in this chapter, what we'll get into is how you can actually today get started with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So think of how you buy stock in the stock market today. So if you've done this, at least in the US, it's very, very simple. Right? You have US dollars, which is also called fiat currency. You take it to a provider like Charles Schwab or E-Trade, and you open an account. You give them your fiat currency and tell them what stock you want, and then Charles Schwab would go to an exchange like Nasdaq or NYSE and then make the purchase of those stock tokens. Pretty simple. In the digital currency world, it's very similar. There's a few differences. You start with fiat currency, right? US dollars. You go to a provider like Coinbase. That's the most popular one. There are also providers like Gemini and Zappo. You go there, open an account, put some money in there, and then tell them how much of Bitcoin or Ethereum you want to buy. They'd buy it from an exchange and then put it into your account. As simple as that. So if you're new to cryptocurrency and you just want to try it out, this is the easiest way to get started. There are, of course, all kinds of different ways in which you can get cryptocurrency. You can literally take a bag of cash, give it to your friend, and she can send Bitcoin from her address to an address you give her. No registration, no paperwork, no fuss. Obviously, this lack of documentation makes cryptocurrency an attractive option for a lot of shady characters, but you don't have to be one of them. Just be aware that it's very, very similar to exchanging cash. So now that we've covered how you can get started with cryptocurrency, um, again, if you're new to this, you're probably reading about all the craziness and the all the hoopla around Bitcoin now, circa November 2017, and you're probably very tempted to get involved, which is totally fine. Now, there are some things that you have to keep in mind, some helpful tips. Remember when we talked about the Bitcoin locker and the key and the wallet? So the only thing that ties you to a Bitcoin locker and whatever it contains is knowledge of the secret key. So whoever knows what the secret key is has access to those funds. It's similar to a wallet. Whoever has access to that wallet will have access to the funds in the address. So just keep that in mind. The transactions themselves are not reversible. So if I send you money today through a bank transaction, um, in most cases, I can reverse the transaction if there was some sort of a fraud. With blockchains and with Bitcoin and most other cryptocurrencies, the transactions are not reversible. It has a lot of benefits, but it also uh, could be problematic if you don't know what you're doing. We talked about digital wallets earlier. This is how you would manage your keys and your addresses and the currencies. There's a lot of digital wallets out there. It's still early days, so make sure you pick a digital wallet that is well respected, and there's a lot of people who've looked at it and use it. There's a lot of people who've created all kinds of software and say that they can manage Bitcoin. So you just want to pick something with a lot of care. Now the last one is, it's been the truth for a lot of years. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. All right. So you want, if you're going to invest a lot of money into cryptocurrency, you may want to store it with different wallets. So, so be careful. All right, this is just just something that I thought would be interesting. Now we talked about, when it was 2 chapters ago, 3 chapters ago, we talked about bookkeepers, right? What their role is in the blockchain, or in the whole ecosystem, right? So remember, the bookkeepers are the ones who maintain the ledger, right? Who track every transaction that's going on, and there are millions of bookkeepers, right? And in Bitcoin today, they're called miners. Now, remember, they're not physical people, they're actually machines. Now, this is a picture of a mining operation somewhere. I don't know where it is, but somewhere in the world, there are millions and millions of servers running, and each of those servers are running nodes or miners that are tracking and handling all the Bitcoin transactions. So if you recall, the way it works is, if you are a bookkeeper and you win the race to validate transactions and solve the puzzle, you get the reward. As of 2017, November 29th, the reward for successfully mining one block or successfully validating a bunch of transactions is 12.5 Bitcoin. And that is approximately equal to $120,000. I have no idea what it's going to be in the future, but that's what it is today. And here is a pretty interesting story. So early on, in 2010, Bitcoin had just gotten started. Most of the people involved were engineers, techies, people who were really sort of interested in new cryptographic payment methods. There was a person called Laszlo. He offered 10,000 Bitcoin for a couple of pizzas, and his post went unattended for 4 days. And so 4 days later, somebody else responded and said, "Sure, I will buy your pizza." And then, soon after, he actually got 2 large pizzas sent to him, and he gave that person 10,000 bitcoins for the pizza. As of November 29th, 2017, 10,000 Bitcoin is worth $100 million. So it's more than likely the most expensive pizza ever created. So to wrap up, um, Bitcoin is an application, blockchain is the underlying technology. Most people will agree that the underlying technology is the more exciting thing than Bitcoin itself, because the underlying technology, blockchain systems, really enable a new class of applications. It's able to solve a whole set of problems that weren't solved very efficiently today. And the key value of blockchain-based systems is that it's truly decentralized. There isn't one entity that controls it. Right? A lot of people think, well, today Amazon is, you can run your software on Amazon servers, they're decentralized. But they're not truly decentralized because Amazon owns them. I mean, they're a great company, but tomorrow if Amazon decided that they don't like you, they don't need to run your software. So decentralization is probably the most important value of a blockchain-based systems. There are, of course, a lot of other values. And blockchain technology is not the solution for all problems. Um, it's not even the solution for most of the problems that people are attempting to solve with blockchain today. So there's clearly a lot of hype around it. Um, but what's exciting is that it enables, like I said earlier, a class of applications, right? And a lot of these things people haven't thought of yet. So the exciting stuff is really yet to come. And in many ways, blockchain today is similar to what email and internet was in the early 90s, right? So there were a lot of crappy things that got built on top of it, and they all got washed away. And eventually, you started seeing the likes of Google and Amazon and Facebook. So who knows what people will build on top of blockchain-based technologies, but clearly there's some interesting things to come. So here's a set of resources that I've used in the presentation, and some of it is very easily accessible. I would highly recommend reading the white paper that Satoshi Nakamoto wrote that kicked off this whole Bitcoin business. The book by Yuval Harari is great to talk, where he goes into a little bit about the history of money, and these are some links that will talk to you about addresses and keys. And James D'Angelo has a really good set of videos on YouTube that I really enjoyed, and I used a lot of that in my presentation. And so there's plenty of resources out there. Hopefully, you've learned a lot from this presentation, and I appreciate the